Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of June. Welcome to Pep Talks in the Morning. My name is Felicia Hola, the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party and your host of this program every Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Joining me this morning is a regular co host, the very beautiful, wonderful and knowledgeable Michelle Davis, our deputy party organizer. Good morning to you, Michelle.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, welcome.
It's another day in this country filled with news and just the going ons of what seems to be a country on the brink of, I would say, chaos. I mean, reading the headlines this morning, reading some of the news articles yesterday, I have had the fortune or misfortune, as some may want to put it, of driving around and hearing these news conferences and press releases and post cabinet briefings. And yesterday I heard one that brought up the never ending saga. I mean, I really thought that this one was going to die. I really thought that this one was going to fade into the wilderness, but it seems like the media, and thankfully so, and the rest of Trinidad and Tobago and citizens like yourself, Michelle, like me, like our political leader, like citizens who are asking real questions, it seems like we're not letting this one go quite so easily. And for those who are not certain about what never ending saga we're speaking about, we have reached or arrived at a new leg in this back and forth with our local, Trinidad and Tobago, and now the United States Department. Seems like the it is escalating what has transpired since that visit with Delcy Rodriguez on the 27th of March. That date is now etched in history for me. A
Mhm.
date I will never forget. And after weeks of back and forth, and Stuart Young saying that this was not discussed, and people asking him if he lied, and being told to resign, and then Dennis Moses jumping out himself and putting his foot in his mouth and saying that we are not bound by the Rio Treaty. The United States Department has responded to his statement last week, saying we are concerned that the Trinbagonian foreign minister asserted that his country is not bound by the Rio Treaty, a 73-year-old pact which Trinidad joined in 1967. Trinidad flouted this decision by allowing Delcy Rodriguez into the country. If Trinidad and Tobago does not want to abide by treaty terms, maybe it should withdraw, the United States Department said in a statement to Guardian Media yesterday.
Hmm, some words to think about, Felicia. I mean, let me tell you, being, as everyone knows, I'm the Ameridanian in the group, and one thing you do not do is mess with the United States reputation, and to indicate and basically imply that they have lied in a conversation of national security, international relations. You have stepped on the wrong toes. So let's begin with that. And we thought this was ending. It appeared to be ending. And then Minister Moses, who has been clearly absent in the past 5 years, Felicia, I don't think we've heard too much from him in terms of international relations. But now all of a sudden he jumps on the bandwagon when the previous participants had got a little bit quiet on it. He jumps in and gives his intake on it, which again implies that the US is not telling the truth. This is an agreement that was signed in 1967. It's either you're in and out. You cannot play both sides. And what it appears from an international relations perspective, it does appear as though we're trying to play both sides, Felicia. We are trying not to step on the toes of Maduro, while at the same time we're kind of using terms and to kind of facilitate why we acted the way we did, and no, we did not do this. But when in fact the treaty does indicate any air, sea, It's quite Article 8 of the treaty actually goes into detail of the violations or potential violations in terms of air, sea, any modes of transportation in the related waters. And we clearly violated that, Felicia. Clearly.
We have clearly violated that. That I had the misfortune of driving and listening to these press conferences and media briefings and releases yesterday in response to the United States Department making that statement. Keith Rowley is he came out and he decided to swing his self around and say that we will continue to make decisions on behalf of our country and that the United States ambassador and the United States Department can make recommendations in terms of us withdrawing, but that at the end of the day, the decision ultimately rests and lies with Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, he did not say it so nicely. It was very cocky and very,
Yes.
we will decide and make our own decisions for ourselves. And I am in no way an advocate for Trinidad and Tobago rolling over and bending to every whim of any country, be it the United States or the UK, etc. So, I mean, this is not about us pacifying and placating the United States. It's not about that at all. But we can't, in one statement, be saying that the United States are our greatest allies and 70% of our business is with the United States and we maintain strong relationships with this country, then call them a liar, one, then turn around and say that we don't even need to be a part of the treaty that we signed with you 73 years ago, too. And then turn around and tell them, we thanks for giving us your advice if we make our own decisions ourselves. But guess what? You're our greatest allies and we still respect you. I am, and I keep saying this, Michelle, I did not do foreign international relations in university. I am just a normal layman on the street listening to this back and forth, listening to this situation unfold, and using my very limited knowledge and common sense, it seems like our foreign relations, our international relations is a mess. It is a joke. We can't be we're playing two sides of two clearly opposing fences and then wanting to remain sovereign and independent. We can't say that you're our greatest allies. We do our most of our business with you and then turn around and try to disrespect the same people that we're calling our allies. I mean, how does that work?
Exactly, Felicia. And what we need to realize, for the average person that's listening in and you do not know the full details of the treaty, what is the core of why we are bringing this to the forefront is because 80 to 90% of goods in Trinidad and Tobago are imported from the US. So the ramifications of potential sanctions is detrimental and almost will have the capability of destroying the Trinidad economy. So this is what we're really talking about. This is the concern the average man should be concerned with. I mean, you don't need to know the details. You can look at it, of course, but how is this going to impact me when you go into the grocery and you cannot find that product that perhaps your child your baby needs, that the milk that the child is not allergic to and you can't find it, that's the repercussions. That particular brand that you're accustomed buying that you don't have access to may not be. So this is on the ground level. It's very simple. We are treading territory that we should not be treading. But what is behind the questioning of it all, and we have brought it up in the past few weeks, is why are we treading this line of trying to meet both sides? What is our relationship with Venezuela that is so beneficial to Trinidad that we have taken a very international stance of breaking potential other relations? We have taken because of our relationship with the Maduro government. What is behind that is benefiting Trinidad that we can say as a country is worth going against the US?
Indeed. And Michelle, all that is left in terms of this unfolding bold and beautiful kind of drama that seems to be dragging on for decades. What is left to be said or heard now is the Maduro government weighing in on this situation, because we have the Trinidad and the United States having their very amicable, for now, face off, and little passive aggressive face off, I would say, because reading the
Yes.
undertone of the back and forth between the United States Ambassador Joseph Wandalo and Stuart Young, and then the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Ambassador, and then the United States Department that has officially made a release to Guardian Media. Reading the back and forth, there's a lot of passive aggressive tones that you hear
Hmm.
coming out. And for anybody who knows what happens in terms of an escalation, it usually starts off very friendly and amicable, then it gets a little bit more passive aggressive. And then following there is where things truly escalate. And of course, we're not advocating for that. Anybody can say it. We not, of course, nobody here in this
Yeah.
country, not any PUP, nowhere wants to advocate for sanctions being imposed on us. This is not that conversation. The conversation is not about us wanting that. The conversation is about us asking the question that Michelle just asked. If we do not want sanctions imposed on us, if we are loyal and are allies to the United States and the other 17 countries in that Inter American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, which is what the Rio Treaty is, if we are a part of that, we are a signatory, and we are refusing to withdraw, then why are we playing both sides of the fence? Why are we playing both sides of the field? Why are we doing business with one and trying to smoothen over one while still trying underhand ways of doing business with the other? Again, international relations would tell you that that is a mess. That is an absolute mess. And anything that you get after that from either side of the field, because like I say, we just have yet to hear from Maduro now. From his side now, I am almost waiting to hear him say, oh, so you're friends with the people who trying to impose
Hmm.
sanctions on us, who are stopping crude oil exports from our country, who has basically made us prisoners within our own borders. You're friends with them and you're allies with them and you're placating them. So then guess what? Our relationship is now over. Is that what we're going to hear next? And I mean, not that it would be any skin off of my back, because I never understood what was our reason for being so closely tied to this particular regime. I am not sure when this man and his government has been known to be very draconian in nature. The people, I mean, the reports that you get, and just the fact that we have so many illegal immigrants fleeing that country coming here is a warning sign, and yet we continue to want to do business. We continue to maintain friendly relationships with the people that have a lot of questions circling their heads. A lot of questions.
Exactly, Felicia. And remember a few weeks ago, in between when this story had broke, and there were so many back and forth going, who told the truth, who said what. In between that, the opposition of the Venezuelan government came out and bluntly said that the meeting was for an oil purchase. They were on the side of validating the information that it was not about COVID-19, that the information, that the meeting was about and an oil purchase or a purchase of that nature. So they totally denied that Miss Rodriguez came here to the Trinidad to facilitate a COVID-19. So that's where the files started getting unraveled immediately. But I mean, again, we look at what we are looking. Trinidad is not known for a country that in past history or past 57 years has taken really any stance of any position against the US, against their allies. So this appears quite intriguing, to say the least, of why this PNM led administration is taking such a harsh stance with regards to their position with the US. We do not have a history of being a country that has taken those types of positions. So it makes you wonder again, is it come out and say it. Is there a benefit to Trinidad having this relationship? And then we're only talking about the US. You know, I was watching a show, and the ramifications, Felicia, are extremely critical. This could expand to Europe. Our Europe allies could now say, look, you are facilitating a Maduro-led government, and we are now going to take possible actions against your country as a symbol of allegiance to the U.S. So this expands more than the U.S. This expands to our European allies. I mean, this is basic government international relations that any government should be very, very concerned of. But we seem to be taking that very abrasive approach that we don't care and we are going to take our stand. And we have taken a very extreme stand in this case, that this case continues to develop in the public, and all the parties that are involved are continuously contradicting themselves.
Continuously. And if you see me in my phone, guys, I am sharing the live video. So please take this moment to click share on your pages, on your newsfeed, in your groups, on your WhatsApp. It helps me greatly. It helps me stay focused on the program, and I don't have to do that sharing because you guys are doing it for me. But Michelle, everything that you're saying is true. And I mean, out of this topic comes the question for the day. And before I raise the question for the day, Satish, our producer, was asking me very sarcastically if I even knew what the real treaty was about. Yes, I do, Satish. I do. Anything that I talk about on this show, I have to research and make sure I know. And like I said earlier, it is the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance. And basically what that is, these 19 member states, they signed to this treaty back in 1967, which is supposed to allow for help help amongst these countries in case of a threat of warfare, a threat from another country coming into your waters to start. It's a mutual defense system. And Trinidad and Tobago, along with countries like Cuba and Uruguay and um, the United States of America, are signatories from this. It's a remnant of the Cold War, and it was just set up basically to provide that support for all of the member countries should there be a threat against your country from another. And I mean, we're not in a period of open warfare. I don't think Trinidad has never been at war with another nation. That is the
Mhm.
reality. However, we are in close proximity. And I know that's the irony of the situation, Michelle. I'm going to say that we are in close proximity to Venezuela, who has dealings with countries like Iran and Russia, and countries that are in open conflict and tensions with the United States of America. So while we may not be warring with Iran and Russia and may not have tense relationships with these countries, just because of our close proximity to allies of these countries, we may find ourselves in crosshairs. However, seeing as we're now playing both sides of the fence, seeing as we're trying to remain independent of a situation that we may no longer be able to remain independent of, we may find ourselves not only caught in a warfare, God forbid, but caught in a warfare with no allies on either side, and caught in a warfare where we have pointed the we literally took the gun and pointed it at our own heads because of our failure to maintain what should be a very organized, a very well thought out plan as it pertains to international relations. I mean, the Prime Minister said it. We have an open highway between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. Should there actually be warfare in that country, should there be threat of military action, they're going to flock to Trinidad and Tobago, and
Yeah.
you voting against the treaty, you choosing to go against the treaty of which you are a signatory, does not mean that the warfare would stop in Venezuela should the United States have to invade Venezuela for whatever reason. Again, not my monkey, not my circus. But them doing that and us finding ourselves in the position that we are finding ourselves, we may find that when we looking around and when we need it the most, we have no allies on our side. And that is not where we want to find ourselves. I'm listening to this uh a retired international relations lecturer from UWI. What is his name? Gonzalez. I can't remember his full name. Anthony Gonzalez, saying that, us withdrawing is not such a bad thing. Us withdrawing from the treaty may not be such a bad thing. Um, that did, and he said that, only in times of upheaval would we benefit from being a part of the Rio Treaty. It seems as if some sort of upheaval is almost imminent. Again, God forbid, but it's harping on the fact that other countries have withdrawn from the treaty, and he has seen no negative fallout from that. That they feel freer, they don't feel tired. And my question to him, were I in that interview with him, are any of these countries dependent on the United States in terms of 70% of their food imports? Are any of these countries that withdrew from the treaty, are they able to feed themselves? Are they food independent? Do they
Right.
rely on the United States for Netflix and direct TV, or do they have local stations where they, I mean, that is a question that we would need to ask. But like I said, the question of the day comes out of this discussion that asks, do you think Trinidad and Tobago should withdraw from the Rio Treaty? I am putting this question out here. A lot of our questions most times seem very easy to answer. And depending on where you lie in terms of this particular discussion, I am interested to see what you, the viewers, what the audience think in terms of us pulling out of the treaty or not. I myself, and I will give my answers. Michelle, you would give your answer as well towards the end of the program. That poll should be up now that asks the question, do you think Trinidad and Tobago should withdraw from the Rio Treaty as suggested by the United States Department? Anything else for you on this, Michelle, or do we just wait until Maduro responds, or we get part two or three or part 10 of this unfolding drama?
I think we will be talking about this for a few weeks to come, especially as the election campaign heightens up. I think it is something that should be raised to the public. I think the public now needs to start really listening to the issues or potential issues that will impact the country. And this is quite of serious nature. You do not have to be an economist, a political scientist. You can be the man on the ground understanding the ramifications of this is quite significant to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
Most definitely. And moving on into our next topic of discussion, Michelle, on this program on Monday, we had a follow up call with a young lady and a young gentleman from the RCL Cruise Line Royal Caribbean Limited cruise liner. There are two of 342 people who are stuck outside there for almost 90 plus days now, and they every time they come on the program, I my heart is just torn between, I mean, listening to them describes how depressing it is, how frustrating it is, how just unfair it is to be nationals of a country and pleading to come back into their own country, not hearing from the government in terms of them reaching out. And I asked the question on the program, did anybody reach out to you since um, they have heard nothing? And since then, Michelle, well, we actually before then, we heard of one particular family, a family of three that were allowed to come back in Trinidad and Tobago, a family that had one of the members, the mom in that family, she tested positive for COVID-19 virus. So we imported a case of COVID-19 into this country. They came in like thieves in the night, and we did not know of this flight that came by air ambulance until it was revealed that the mom had was tested positive for COVID-19. We first heard that they came from the UK. Now, as of
Mhm.
yesterday, the news is that they actually came in from Houston, Texas. And again, listening to that news report, Michelle,
Mhm.
immediately I asked the question, and the prime minister is making the case that there was an exemption because there was a medical condition affecting one of the children in that family of three that caused them to have to come home to Trinidad and Tobago. And I need to know what healthcare facility, what treatment or breakthrough treatment did Trinidad and Tobago pioneer? Because I need to go to that healthcare facility and I need to refer anybody who has that similar medical condition to that healthcare facility, seeing as Trinidad and Tobago is clearly leading the way in terms of medical breakthroughs. Because what would cause anybody to leave Houston, Texas?
Mhm.
No, then I Googled it, simple Google search,
Yes.
known for some of the most advanced and well staffed and basically good. I mean, sorry for using that euphemism, the word good, but a good hospital in the world. What on earth would make you leave Houston, Texas, where medical treatment is available, and come back to Trinidad and Tobago for assistance with your medical condition? One and one makes two, but
Hmm.
this not.
This is making 10, Felicia. I saw that you did a post that we would like to know the name of the family. I too am very curious to know the name of the family. Just give us the last name in terms of why you would leave Houston, Texas to come to Trinidad. That is known for, we have been hearing for weeks, we do not want to overburden our healthcare system. But so far, we have become so detrimental that someone would leave Houston, Texas, where state of the art everything is available from a healthcare perspective, and come to Trinidad. First of all, as I indicated on Monday, Felicia, having worked in the cruise lines, air ambulances are extremely expensive. I do not mean a few $1,000s. I mean it can potentially run you up to, depending on the destination, of course, up to 50,000 plus. I have seen bills where we have had to air evacuate someone from a ship, and I've seen the bills. So it is not the mode of transportation you would choose, especially if you do not have money. So let's get to that point already. Clearly, the persons that
Mhm.
came into the country have money because air ambulance is the most expensive way. Again, why would that person during COVID-19, if they are so ill, why would they come to Trinidad? What is the reasoning and the rationale for an ill person to travel during a pandemic when state of the art healthcare is available in Houston, Texas? This continues to be the dilemma. We are selectively choosing who we are allowing into the country. We have been pleading on behalf of the crew members. We did not say by any means let everybody in all at once. We do understand there has to be a staggered entrance. We understand that. But the fact that
Good.
you are blatantly ignoring the crew members and you are giving precedence and selective to these these persons that appear to be flying by night. So the question is, Felicia, are our borders really closed? That's what we've been asking. Are our borders really closed? Because this is a clear example that even the Minister of Health admitted he did not even know the origin of the flight, but yet it was a health care issue. So who is it close to? Is it close to the average person and not the elite? That's what we need to say. If they're going to be blatant in other regards, let's be clear of who it's close to. It's close to the average person that does not have the money to facilitate the entry.
And that was my point when somebody came on my post yesterday and said um, that that healthcare in the United States is not free, so maybe they came home because it was expensive. I said, healthcare in the United States is not free, so you chartered an air ambulance at over $50,000 plus
It's out.
to fly home. And to fly home to what? Our facilities don't even have the equipment right now. Just the other day they were talking about the fact that we don't have the machines that we need for cancer patients. Of course, the name is slipping me. We don't have that.
Right.
We don't have medication. We short on this. So what are you flying home to? And I mean, the way that the statement was carefully crafted, it left it very it left it again. And our prime minister, he's very good at selectively choosing his words. He did not say, and if you listen to that report, he did not say that the person flew home to receive medical treatment in Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago. He said the person had a medical condition, so they made an exemption to come home. And that, I mean, if that and it doesn't tell the story, the fact is this person probably, and since the person on my profile came to use a lot of maybes and what ifs, I will use this too. Maybe and probably that person did not come home to get any medical treatment. Maybe they had a cut on their foot and they listed it as
Hmm.
a medical emergency and came home. Maybe they are actually a sick patient and just wanted to come back and be with their family. I don't know. But the fact is, there are others. There are other people who have been trying. And there was this one particular article, March the 31st, that was raised in Parliament by an opposition senator, a cancer patient. What about him? He wants to come home. He's pleading with the government to let him back in. What about the cruise ship workers, those who are negative for COVID-19, who are out there for 90 plus days? What about them? Michelle, I had asked you this morning because I saw a response from Terence Yalting about misinformed people talking about 1,000 beds. And I asked if that was for us. I asked the question on Monday's show. Didn't we create over 900 beds in our parallel healthcare system? So how can we say we don't have the room to house and quarantine the people that we bring back? Because that was the first thing that they said. We don't have the space. This is weeks after boasting that we created a parallel healthcare system that can
Yes.
accommodate the numbers that we need to quarantine and isolate people during COVID-19. All of a sudden, those beds disappeared. All of a sudden, the facilities that we converted and spent $100 million on to convert and prepare for COVID-19 quarantine, all of a sudden,
They're not
they fell
available.
off the radar.
Right. Correct, correct. And that is the question. We were not saying on Monday to bring in 1,000 people. We did not indicate that at any time during the conversation. We indicated that we were told by the government there's 935 plus beds and there are 300 plus crew members. So if you staggered that, we're not saying you had to bring all 300, but at least give some type of um, uh, action that you are going to bring them back. These crew members are not hearing from the government. Last week we heard a story break with the another ship. I don't think it's the same ship. I was trying to clarify that another ship had a potential 29 St. Vincent's that had tested positive. So we heard the national security minister come out and refer to that story and that they would have to look into it deep any further. But we haven't heard anything since, Felicia. We haven't heard anything since with regards to what were the potential findings. So I went on and I looked and I gathered the information from the government site of St. Vincent. And yes, there were a total of 77 persons, of which 67 plus crew members had gone off, and six were positive, right? So six were positive of 77 tested from the cruise ship. So, but we didn't get an update. The story from our side stopped there. Yes, we are saying there is a potential of positive, hence the reason the staggered entry. We understand that. But what we are saying, why is entry being granted to some and not others? Why do we hear the crying and the pleas from the average citizen when we have air ambulance jets flying in at night? Remember the other lady that had cancer? She was flown in via private jet. She's supposedly a cancer patient. We know what I'm referring to. And then we heard through the grapevine that she's not even a cancer patient. So what is true? That's all we're trying to get at. What should be applicable for one should be applicable for all.
Indeed. And I at the same time, Michelle, I'm so glad that we continue to raise these issues in the public space because I'm seeing that we are forcing the ministers to answer to
Hmm.
their job. They were forcing them to be accountable for what they're doing. Because I see the Minister of Health is saying that they're working to bring home 69 more nationals this week. And I mean, every time I read that, I look to see if any cruise ship workers are included in that. Apparently, there are. I cannot confirm if it is RCL cruise ship. Good morning to you, chicken. I cannot confirm if it is RCL cruise liner people, but I mean, 69 is still a small dent in the 342 that we have on the outside. And agreeing with you, Michelle, of course, we need to stagger this most definitely. But what we also need, what the people outside there also need is some kind of reassurance, some kind of acknowledgement that at least their request, the Minister of National Security is saying, put in a request. And I need to read that aloud here on the program this morning. How you go about. He put out an advisory that you need to, yesterday, actually this morning, this was released. Only requests made by nationals and permanent residents of Trinidad and Tobago to enter the country are being considered at this time on a case by case basis. Clearly, this information that was only just available 5 hours ago was also available to the lady last week, Thursday. The following documents must be provided along with the request for exemption. One, a copy of the bio page of their passport, and two, a copy of their permanent residence stamp in their passport or copy of permanent residence certificate applicable to permanent residents of Trinidad and Tobago only. This information must be submitted to travel exemption at mns.gov.tt. And I'm going to send this link to this lady from the cruise ship. I'm going to tell her, get all 342 of those people trying to come home. Let them all each send a request to come home since they're reviewing it case by case only. Let's see if they would be granted any exemptions because I mean again, how did these people last week get that information? How did they get that to the government? How were they able to fast track and expedite their request to come home? And these people were not.
Exactly. And Felicia, I want to note on what you just read. The reason why that's being released again is because last week there was a case where a crew member, a Trinidadian, was got off the ship, but her husband was denied entry, and he's a permanent resident. They have applied for citizen residency or citizenship. He's been living here, but her husband, a Jamaican national who's been living in Trinidad, they said they have processed the paperwork a few years now. So that's why he's clarifying that, because I think it was either the husband did not get the permanent residency or the citizenship. I need to clarify that, but that's why they're releasing that information to further clarify, because she went public with that the husband was denied entry despite them having an application in a few years now.
There was also, and I saw this in one of the articles that I read, um, and this was brought up by the opposition, and very rare do I have to agree with them, but it is, I mean, this is common sense. A lot of the times, or the things that they talk is just finding common sense answers for the problems that seem to confuse and confuffle our government. But the common sense answer to this question is if governments abroad are repatriating their citizens, so Canada and the UK and the United States and Germany, they're sending flights to Trinidad and Tobago to collect their residents here. Are we as a country having discussions, diplomatic discussions, using our foreign affairs channels and our ambassadors and all our diplomats and high commissioners? Are we using them to have discussions on getting our citizens who are in those countries where they're sending empty jumbo jets to pick up their citizens here on our soil? Are we having discussions with them to bring our citizens home? Or are empty planes flying from countries where our citizens are begging and pleading to come back to their home soil, landing here, picking up their people and leaving? Is that what is happening? And I mean, again, Michelle, a common sense approach to what seems to be the most complicated situation.
Well, last week we saw it, Felicia. Was it last week or the week before? In terms of I think the British government had indicated that they were sending a flight to Tobago. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Tobago to pick up some nationals, and the plane was empty. There was no landing of Trinidad nationals on that plane. I think the Canadian government. Actually, I spoke to someone. The Canadian government. He is here. He is a Canadian citizen, and he indicated there is a flight available, I believe, this week actually, and with regards to sending Canadians home. So again, but we've always raised the question now. For years, we've been raising the question: what is the purpose of our ambassadors, our high commissioners, these very high posts that are very well privileged and very well paid abroad? Where do they come into this time? I have not seen, Felicia, I don't know if you have, I have not seen one quote from a commissioner or an ambassador. And I'm reading every day nonstop, trying to keep up. I have not referred. I have seen Minister Moses step in lately because of this story that never ends. But I have not seen one quote from an ambassador or a high commissioner. That should tell you volumes that these people are non-active. They are not serving the purpose that they are meant to serve. They serve as international medium relations between countries. And where are they to facilitate the citizens getting home? Again, we understand the healthcare. We understand our healthcare system cannot handle thousands coming back. That's not the question. The question is, are we taking a valid interest in the citizens that are abroad? That's the question.
Very good question. And Michelle, if ever times for our ambassadors and high commissioners and diplomatic appointments across the globe, people who on taxpayers' funds live nice, lavish lifestyles, eat the best of foods, go to all the nicest meetings and just live a life of luxury. And I know this for a fact. I know that one of
Yes.
the posts that you want to get when you go into government, if you don't want to do too much heavy lifting, is to get an ambassadorial appointment. And the fact that we have all of these ambassadors and commissioners and all these people abroad and supposedly representing our interests, and the time that they are required, the time that you would expect to hear from them, which I should think is now, this is when your job
Mhm.
actually matters. Is when they are
Mhm.
radio silent. Literally, you're not hearing anything like you said. And it begs the question, similar to what we raised with our president. If there's no point to your job, if you have no purpose, if there's no you have no function, then what are you there for? What are taxpayers paying your salaries for? What are you doing with the position that we gave you? Now is the time, and I also hold the government responsible and accountable, because now is the time that you call in all of your ambassadors and you put them to work. COVID-19 is not vacation for you. It is a time of work, a period of work. You should be the ones in contact with the residents abroad. You're not hearing that. You're not hearing anybody saying that they spoke to this ambassador, or they have had the United States, oh, sorry, the Trinidad and Tobago embassy, wherever they are based in whatever country, reaching out to them. It's not that way at all. We have to write and you have to send an email and hope by some lottery system, or if you have the right last name, that you pick.
Exactly, exactly. And again, we go to non-performance, which the Progressive Empowerment Party has always brought to the attention. Where is the performance that we are seeking and deserve as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Where is the transparency? The reason why the Progressive Empowerment Party questions and brings these questions, because none of the activities by the governments of past and present are transparent. Hence the reason we have to question their actions, because we're always led every when Felicia and I do the show, at the end of the show we say, did we have more questions than answers? Because there is lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of what are you doing? Make it transparent. Make it. I had a conversation with Ambassador XYZ, and this is the status of our citizens, and make that public. Make that's not confidential information, but instead we are just hearing dead silence, as you indicated, Felicia, and we are led to think what is really going on.
Indeed. And we're almost close to the 9 o'clock mark, and we're supposed to bring on Natalia more from the youth on. But before we bring on Natalia, I do want to touch on this particular topic. Yesterday, I went to Maracas Beach to buy a bake and shark, and also to do a quick survey of what the beach is looking like now, as we are still under, well, the beaches are supposedly still under lockdown, and not just supposedly, because what I saw yesterday did indicate that we are still not allowed to be on the beaches. And on Monday, as you know, we reopened phase 3 of the economy, which saw, I went into Port of Spain on Monday, and it was business as usual. Mask, no social distancing. I'm seeing it, the crowds, they're assembling, the drinkers sitting down with their bottles again on the promenade. It was back to business as normal. And I mean, the Minister of Health has been trying to frighten us into believing that there is a second wave about to crash on us, and because of that second wave we will open the malls and we would open the retail outlets, and Charlotte Street will be what it was once again. But don't go to the beach, because that is probably where the second wave is going to come from. And I did a little video on that to highlight the insanity of what we experience here in Trinidad and Tobago. And it is a little bit wind. God, the beach was so lovely yesterday. The wind is a little bit loud, so you might miss parts of what I'm seeing in the video. But I was pointing out the fact that the malls are open, the dentists are open, the retail outlets are open, Charlotte Street is open. But the beach, which has been known to be a remedy, a cure, uh, of relieving symptoms of the cold and the flu, and just making you generally feel better. Michelle, I went to the beach
Right there.
yesterday because I was just so tired, and I swear to you, that is my happy place. My spirits were
Yes.
uplifted. I came back feeling like myself again. I took a nap and I woke up feeling like, yes, I am ready to go again. And that is, the beach is a medicine. The fact that the medicine, the cure for the same thing that we fight in, the fact that that is under lockdown, it is absolutely mind-boggling. I want to show that video for you now.
Okay.
This is the insanity of Trinidad and Tobago by Richard's Bacon Shack right now on what is an absolutely empty beach. Yesterday, the country reopened. Phase 3. The malls were reopened. Retail outlets were reopened. The dentist was reopened. But our the beaches with nice hot sun, seawater, be the prescription for any cold, any flu. The beaches are closed. And not only are they closed, but if you get caught on the beach, you can be charged by the police. Trinidad and Tobago. PS. Tell me this water not best.
Well said,
It was
Felicia. Well said.
Michelle, yesterday was the most amazing beach day if I've never seen one before. And I mean, the fact that it was empty made it even more appealing. I told myself, Gary, you would probably have to come and lock me up today because I had to go and put my feet in the water. I took a picture of me actually looking out into the water and I messaged Philip. I was like, Philip, can I post this? Because it clearly points out that your chairman is breaking the stay away from the beach order. But I had to because it is it is insane to me, Michelle, that the beach of all places, the beach where that there is closed. You can't go on the beach. There's a sign telling you you cannot go on the beach. And on Charlotte Street, people literally climbing on top of each other to get to move around. What I do, and I mean, it is insane because you look around at other countries that are reopening slowly but surely, and one of the places that are opening first are the beaches because it is understood that the heat and the sunlight it does wonders in terms of killing the virus, and that we here have the natural cure, the natural remedy, the natural solution to combating and dealing with this virus, that we are scaring people and telling them look out for police and don't go or you'll be charged $50,000, that we're telling them this. It is mind-boggling to me the insanity that we continue to live that is this country. It is, I don't know. Whew.
It is Felicia. Well, in Cedros here, I am literally steps away from the beach. I can sit in my gallery and literally, practically almost up to the beach. I mean, I'm literally, the ocean is almost in front of me. And I agree with you. Yesterday, in particular, my leg was a little bit swollen, and I was like, you know what? If I could have just gone and soaked my leg, it would, the salt water is known as medicinal purposes and so forth. But I agree with you. If you look at the region, if you look at the coronavirus by country, the Caribbean, the hot countries have the lowest case. Specifically, the Caribbean has very low case ratios. There are some countries in the Caribbean right now that have no active cases. There's a few of them actually. I saw Montserrat. Um, I want to say Belize. I think Belize stood out yesterday for me. But there are countries in the Caribbean right now that have less than 10, less than the cases are extremely low. So, hence the reason, and it has been said from a medicine standpoint that the sun is beneficial in killing the virus. So why do we continue with this second wave that's supposedly coming? But I agree with you. I made the mistake yesterday, Felicia, and went to the grocery, and there were people surrounding me. Like we weren't even but when we had to go to the cashier, there was nowhere to go. I had to pay. So one person is literally behind me, the other one is in front of me, and we were all within a foot apart, if that, from each other. So who are we fooling right now? Who?
I don't know. And to that person who came on my post and said, you all are so stupid. It's people like you all would make the virus come back. And I'm like, dude, you watching the beach. Firstly, when I go to the beach, Michelle, I'm in my own space. I don't know anybody who goes to the beach and has another family sitting down practically. I am in my own
Okay.
space. I you go there, you go there, you go for what you go for, which is to go in the water. You usually this social distancing anyway. Compare that to the situation in the groceries and the supermarkets. Compare that to the fact that people are practically all over you, and you would see that it is almost it is insane. But what is more insane is that people are buying into it, that people are saying, and this guy is saying, look what happened when the government reopened the borders last week for the 3 people. I'm like, dude, you realize that those 3 people literally snuck into this country without anybody else knowing, right? You're literally casting blame on the wrong people. You're supposed to be putting that blame on those who brought them back in. They did not do their due diligence. They should have ensured that the people they were bringing back
Yes.
into this country were COVID-19 free. That is how we got an imported case of the virus. It didn't just magically appear here out of thin air, out of nowhere. So what are we really doing? I mean, and I'm seeing more people become, and I have to say this, I'm seeing more people becoming a bit more knowledgeable about the situation. I
Yes.
saw a young lady who, in the beginning of this COVID-19 lockdown, she's like, "Can't go here and stay home." Every post that she posted, it ended with hashtag "Stay home, save lives," and I mean, of course, that's what we as a country, as the world, we're trying to do. We were practicing social distancing. We were quarantining ourselves if we know we traveled because we were trying to mitigate and reduce the impact of what we believed and understood then, 2 months ago, to be a very contagious disease, a disease that attacks the respiratory system, that attacks people with vulnerabilities in terms of diseases, if you're diabetic, if you were ill, that you had a high chance of succumbing to the coronavirus. And I understood back then us putting these precautions in place. But now that we have seen that we have successfully flattened the curve, it's been so for a month. The only new case was a case that we brought into this country without doing our proper homework on the case that we brought in. Where's the virus supposed to come from? If we're telling people you can go back out to work, if we're telling people on Charlotte Street wear your masks, but go about your business as normal, where is the second wave supposed to come from? Let's
Exactly.
make
And
sense.
Felicia, it brings the question, are we do you know do we are we as citizens believing everything that is told to us? Are we a follow, because they say the second wave is coming, and yes, we will adhere to laws and guidelines as respected, but don't create a sense of fear that is plaguing the nation right now. And you're doing that because we're seeing countries, huge countries, reopening and getting back to business. And yes, it will be slow. This would have been actually a good week to open the beaches. And the reason I say that, because many people went back to work. So the process wouldn't have been everybody flocking to the
Yeah,
beaches. Everybody went back to
exactly.
work this week. So this would have been perfect timing actually to check the health aspect of it, of was there a rising, because people went back to work, but of course you would have had some persons that would have gone to the beach. But I mean, explain the reasoning. And we keep hearing the second wave, and I keep asking myself, is there information that we don't know? Is there information that is not being disclosed to us that keeps this second wave in the back of our minds? Is it coming? When is it coming? And of course it will. We know once we start to bring back citizens, we understand that there will be some positive cases. We understand that's and we know not to overburden the system, but don't make it that it has now become a fear, a control, where we're controlling by fear, for the citizens to stay home.
Indeed, and well said. I cannot wait though for the official lifting. And when I say official, because yesterday, and I admit it, I stuck my feet in the water, but I can't wait until we have officially declared the beaches open, because I am dying for a sea bath. I am dying to reconnect with the water and just feel the awesomeness of that, what Maracas look like. I don't think I've ever seen Maracas look as beautiful as it looked yesterday, maybe because it was off limits, but hopefully soon I can reconnect, and you as well, Michelle. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to take a quick break and come back with Natalia Moore from the Youth Arm. She's going to give us an update on what's taking place in within the Youth Arm, as well as an update on the TikTok Mommy Challenge that was started by our dear political leader, who asked the question, where the second wave supposed to come from, Terrence? borders closed and the airport's locked down for 2 months now. Where it's supposed to come from, Philip? Your mommy? That is my vision of that TikTok challenge. We will be right. Ooh, sign up my words. We will be right back.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber, and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms, and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
Trinidad and Tobago is in a crisis. For far too long, our people have been abused and silenced by our politicians and the business elite.
Just look around you. People are losing their jobs. Crime is at an all-time high. Our justice, education, and health systems have failed.
We all know the truth behind all that is wrong in our country. Corruption is destroying us. Billions of our dollars are being looted by a small group of business people that use our politicians to divide and distract us,
so they can take what they want, leaving us with no hope for a better country.
All of this is because we've never had leaders who seek the interests of the citizenry as their first priority.
I am here because I'm not taking it anymore.
I am here because I am not taking it anymore.
I am fed up of politics as it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
It is time we elect leaders with the backbone and the love of our people to go after the corrupt, evil elements in our country, hell-bent on serving their own pockets while we suffer.
And it is time that we as a nation take a collective stand against wrongdoing.
So we are making a plea to the nation to rally behind us.
Because our freedom of speech is being threatened by those who don't want us speaking out on these issues.
A man that I greatly respect is one of those leaders fighting for a better country. His name is Philip Edward Alexander, and he has bravely challenged the people and institutions that are destroying our nation.
To date, he has been threatened with 5 lawsuits for having the courage to ask state agency UDCOT on why the renovations of the President's house cost $89 million.
When experts in the field have estimated that that job should have never crossed 20 million.
Where did the rest of our money go? We refuse to stand by and allow any agency to use our courts to try and silence and punish Philip or any other citizen of our country for trying to seek the truth.
If you're fed up of corruption and want to be a part of real change, support Philip and the Progressive Empowerment Party in this fight.
This fight is not for him or us to bear alone.
It is a fight for you, our loved ones, and our friends.
It is a fight for the future of our country.
You can help by making a contribution to Philip's legal fees and help him and PEP expose the truth and shine light over the darkness of corruption. Go to our website at peptt.com, click on donate, and see all the ways you can pitch in.
There is hope. Our country can be saved, but we all need to stand together. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support. I support.
I support. I support.
I support.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
We are back, and joining us on the program is Natalia Moore, co-chair of PEP. Good morning, Natalia.
Hi, good morning, Felicia. Hi, good morning, Michelle. How are you guys?
Good morning.
We are great, trying to share on this Wednesday morning. Natalia, I've been trying to get you back on this program since you came on the first time to talk about the PEP well, I don't know what to call it, the Philip challenge, the mommy challenge. I don't know. It's officially what, the mommy challenge?
Yes, it is officially the mommy challenge.
Nice. Can you give Michelle, myself, and the audience an update on what is happening with this challenge? Do we have a winner yet?
Yes, we do. And the funny thing is, when we were going through the videos, I didn't have to personally do it myself, but I had Chrissy and Daniel. They went through over 489 videos to choose the top 10, and then they sent it to me, and Chrissy and myself, we went through the top 10, and we chose 6 from that. Now, choosing 6 from 10, I thought was a struggle. So imagine when they had to choose 10 from 489. They probably went through videos all day. And when we finally chose, we had a criteria for the top 6. You had to have over 10K views on your video. So we chose the top 6, and then we ended up posting it on our Facebook page. Every single day of the week, we posted a video. So, and we wanted to see what the audience thought about this video, if they laughed at it, if they thought it was funny, and that's how we chose the winner. In the ending, we couldn't choose. In the ending, we ended up with 2 videos, one from Chrissy G on TikTok, and one from Suvir. And we couldn't choose because Suvir own was very funny, but Chrissy own, she had the most views. She had 60 point something thousand views on her video, and we couldn't choose, so we decided to tie. So, and we're now getting into contact with winners so they can claim their prizes, which is that lovely collaboration with Philip Edward Alexander and that 9 o'clock in the morning t-shirt.
Very nice. Is Philip aware that he's doing a collaboration with these winners?
Yes, he is aware. I contacted him before I made him a prize.
Right. So I believe that you have the 2 winning videos with us this morning. Did you send that to the producer? Yes?
Yes, I did.
Let us now take a look at the 2 winning submissions for the Mommy Challenge, the 9 o'clock, well, not the 9 o'clock, the Philip Challenge. The 2 winners that will be doing a collaboration with Philip Edward Alexander. Let's see those now.
Where the second wave supposed to come from if we lock down 2 months now and the airports closed? Where it coming from, Terrence? Your mommy? Where the second wave supposed to come from if we lock down 2 months now and the airports closed? Where it coming from, Terrence? Your mommy?
I can't.
I can see. I can see why those 2 winners tied, and I think Philip is really going to enjoy that collaboration with that first lady. I call her the pretty lady. I thought she was so gorgeous, and she's from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she's so pretty, and I can't wait to see that. Is it going to be a collaboration with all 3 of them, or is it that they individually going to do a collaboration with him?
Well, we wanted to do like 2 individual collaborations, but if we can both get them on a screen saying 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll take that too.
And the second submission, Michelle, I'm sure you have to agree, that was very funny. I did not see that one before, but he was very innovative with it. So good job.
Very creative, very creative. Great job to both of them. It just shows, those little videos just show the youth are becoming aware. We hope they are becoming aware and listening to the message of politics per se, in particular the Progressive Empowerment Party. But great job, Natalia, and great job and congratulations to the winners.
Yeah. I mean, I first watched the second submission and I was like, why would you look in a and it blew my mind, honestly. So yeah, great job. Great job.
I think Natalia, the youth did a really good job at pioneering and managing this particular challenge. I see that the page has grown exponentially because of the challenge, and I mean, getting 400 submissions is incredible on its own, and I am sorry that I did not do mine. Sorry, not sorry, but I left that for the young folks. You'll take lead on that particular aspect on it. But again, congratulations on that, and I am really looking forward to seeing that collaboration with the two winners and Philip Alexander. I know you'd speak to Zeta to have their merchandise organized as they're winning prizes. So really good job to you and Chrissy and Christian and Tahira on the UCAM. You all did a phenomenal job with this and really expanding the exposure and the reach of the youth. I mean, politics is what we're about, but we also know that we have to reach out to the youth in a different way. And the youth, they love TikTok and they love Instagram and they communicate in short clips and videos. So if this is how we reach out to them, my God, let's use it and reach out to them.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So Natalia, and you, the UTHAM falls under the PEP mobilization team, which is Michelle's team. Tell me, what is going on in the UTHAM? I see you guys, apart from this TikTok challenge, I see you are very busy with some other things happening right now. Can you tell me more about that?
Right, so while we were doing this TikTok challenge, there was two new initiatives. One is still in the planning stages, and once we roll that out, it'll be fine. But the one that we're doing now is called Youth in Politics, and we made that a hashtag. So the hashtag is Youth in Politics, right? I'm involving my entire team. This week, you would have seen the rolled out of the graphics. You know, it started on Sunday with myself. I didn't get to post it Monday, but then I post Tahira on Tuesday. So it's a picture of the youth. It says, "I'm voting PEP 2020," and a quote from Tahira. And today there is a next one was posted up. Chrissy Alexander, her picture, so you can clearly see who Chrissy Alexander is. She is part of the South Youth team. She's the lead for the South, just as Tahira is the lead for the Central. And you'll see who they are because now you can identify them. If you see them on the streets in a walkabout, you can identify them. You can talk to them as a youth if you want to get on in that area. And you would see a quote from Chrissy herself. Tomorrow we have one from Daniel Jackson. And we had a submission from PEP New York, is what we will be debuting on Friday. Yes.
Oh, that's really nice.
This whole
Do you have any of those pictures on the show that we can put up for the audience? Did you send any?
No, but I can send you it right now. I can send Satish it right now. Right. So this whole initiative is basically to show young people that there are many of us involved in politics right about now. And, you know, young people are getting involved. They want their voices to be heard. We may not protest and go all out on the field as, you know, as rioting and stuff, but we want our voice to be heard. And we think that, you know, our future is important. So that is what I want. I want young people to see that and be able to you know, say, okay, I'm seeing youths getting on into politics now. I'm seeing that they're taking their future more important. Maybe I should lend my voice to this cause. Maybe I should come on board. Yeah, I just sent one to Satish. Maybe he can be able to put it up as we speak.
I'm not sure he can add it in now, but if he can, we will definitely try to show that on the program. Michelle, anything for Natalia?
No, I just wanted to say, I mean, Natalia, the initiative has been great. I have seen all three of them. And you know, to the youth that are listening, as Natalia indicated, this is your future. I mean, whether you of all parties, I think your age group is significantly impacted by this election in terms of your future, in terms of the education, in terms of jobs. Many of you are graduating from university, are graduating from school and don't have any job prospects. We know that's a huge issue in Trinidad. We know that. What about the current education system? For those that are in the current education system, is it failing you? If you're not in the elite category, do you feel you're getting the education that you're entitled to? I mean, the crime in terms of your future. We have many youths dying because from an education standpoint, from a societal standpoint, we are failing as a nation. So I am so glad that Natalia is on our team and leading these initiatives to get the youths aware of how politics impacts your future. It is your future. I'm close to, almost semi-retirement, but you're not. You have a definitely 30 decades, 3 decades plus, and you need to think, where is the direction Trinidad and Tobago is heading?
Natalia, we're not hearing you.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. On that note, I like to say, what I thought about this really hard before I, wanted to put it into action. A lot of young people, when they hear our policies, they may not understand it as fully as we want. So another initiative that we're rolling out is called Reasons to Vote PEP Youth Edition. This is where we take our policies and we break it down into terms where you can fully understand that you're getting the best of the best for your vote. And we're not, again, I say this, we're not telling you to vote for us just because, we're pretty, we're nice, we speak proper English. We're not saying that. We really want you to show you reasons why, and that's what we're doing now. So the first video that we're going to make is on unemployment, which goes back to what Michelle says. There are a lot of young people in Trinidad and Tobago that have these fancy degrees, or they're now coming out of secondary school and they're wondering to themselves, do I really have to go to university? Because going to university doesn't make any sense anymore, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. When we go there, we study something that we dream about all our lives. We want to become a marine biologist. We study that because that is what we want to become. And then we come out as UE and we have nowhere to go because there isn't a sector for marine biologists. There isn't a sector for agriculture. There isn't a sector for somebody who wants to go out and, become an artist and paint something. Our dreams are not realized, and our dreams are not made into reality in the system that we currently work with. Yeah, it's like finding a needle in a haystack when it comes to that. We finally have this degree that we want so bad, and we can't find a suitable job for it. And even if we find a job for it, they don't want to pay you according to your qualifications. It's very hard in Trinidad to be right now for young people.
Yes, it is, Natalia, and I agree. I mean, my family migrated over. I think the initiative is on the screen now, but my family migrated over 60 years ago, and the same reasoning was that there are no opportunities available for the youth, and we are still facing that. 60 plus years later. That alone shows you where we've gone as a nation. That was the same excuse my uncle used at 19 when he left Trinidad. To pursue opportunities. We heard that last week. We had several callers from Canada, from New York, and the reasons why they left was because of no opportunity. I mean, I came here with extensive experience, and I couldn't find a job, Natalia. I couldn't find a job. Nobody would hire me, and I was a senior director for a 500 Fortune company. And so you can imagine the youths coming out of school, there's no opportunity for employment. Without unemployment, what do you have as a youth? You have no disposable income. You have no buying power. You've lost hope. You're sitting home in your parents' house, you could never move out. Where are you going? And that's what the youths need to realize, that we are not planning for the future generations in Trinidad. This is always, talk to anyone that has migrated, they will tell you from back then, this was the reason they left. There are no opportunities for the youths.
That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons my mom, every time she calls me, because she lives in America, and every time she calls me, she's like, Natalia, what are you still doing there? Come on, there are many opportunities here, and the last time I was talking to her, she was saying, Natalia, maybe you should come back. We can get you into university, you finish your degree, you get a proper job, and if you want, you can save to start a business back home, because if anybody knows me, it's my mother, and she knows that I love Trinidad and Tobago. It's a place that I truly appreciate. I love its culture. I love its people. And yeah, it's very hard when you love all these things about your country and there's no hope and opportunity for you here.
I agree, Natalia. I agree. My family asks me every day, "What are you doing in Trinidad?" You know, my past employer literally contacts me every 3 months to say, "Okay, we have a job. We will pay for you to leave Trinidad and come work with us again." So it just goes to show, but my love for the country really overpowers my desire to go back to the US. I feel there is something like you. I feel there is something so special about our country that we want to give back and we want to see moving forward. But when you see the situations and the current governance, you wonder, it breaks your heart because you have been experienced to other nationalities and other countries where everything functions and there is hope for the youth. That is critical. In the US, you can start off at McDonald's, but lo and behold, you can end up a McDonald's franchise holder. There's no stopping you there. You can literally start making French fries, but you can end up being one of the franchise holders. There's nothing holding you back. But here, there are so many obstacles in the governance that we face.
That is so true.
Natalia, there's a reason why I have been chasing you to come on this program, and you basically said it in a nutshell today. It is, I mean, it's all well and good for Michelle and myself to discuss these things on your behalf, but I don't think I don't know if you grasp the importance of what you just said on the program today and just how far it's going to go in terms of reaching the youth. It's not enough for me to talk about the youth issues, but hearing from you directly, seeing that photo competition, not competition, seeing that the youth in politics thing that you and Tahira and Christy did, and please, I want you to WhatsApp that to me because I want to post it myself. It is very important to hear and understand the plight of the youth straight from the youth because you're the ones experiencing it. And I'm not too far from you, maybe a couple of years older, but I also look back and I look back at how things just it hasn't gotten better, it's actually gotten worse. I mean, people in my generation, we were fortunate to find the dregs of whatever they call the good jobs, but every year, every cycle of graduates that we have from the university, it becomes tougher and tougher. The pool becomes bigger and wider, and the jobs become fewer and fewer. And it is important for the youth out there to understand everything that Natalia is saying, the opportunities that are here that are dwindling in Trinidad and Tobago, the reasons that these lack of opportunities, the fact that it forces you out of the country that you love. I mean, Michelle, you can pick up tomorrow if you wanted to and say to hell with this country. And I'm so glad. I mean, the Progressive Empowerment Party has to be very grateful that you have not done that because we know a woman with your skills and capabilities, Natalia, with your vibrancy and your passion, put you anywhere else in the world in a country that is really focused on developing its citizens for the collective well-being of the country. Not in Trinidad, where we put you in a position because your auntie working there and your uncle had a pull from string say to get in, and then when you get in, you see you clocking at 8, at 10, you leave at 2. Put real people in positions like you guys, like the people that we know in the Progressive Empowerment Party, that like the many other hard-working nationals of Trinidad and Tobago, put them anywhere else, and you would see how they flourish, how they thrive. We here as a nation, we clearly do not have any foresight. We don't have a forward thinking. We're not thinking progressive. We're not thinking that when the baby boomers die out and the Generation X die out and the system that we have set up, which is corrupt and wrought with nepotism and red tape and backbiting and all of that system that we set up, that is what our further generations, our upcoming generations, the millennials and the Generation Z and what do you call yours? I don't know what you call Natalia generation. You all are Generation Z? Can't remember
I
what you
think
all
it's,
are.
I believe it's Gen X.
Gen, yeah. That what are we leaving for you guys? And it's the reason why we have the PP. It's the reason why Natalia Moore is here with us this morning. And it's the reason why I'm so very proud to see the youth really making strides in terms of educating the rest of the population as to what really faces you should this country continue down the path that we're going. And like I say, I am really glad that I had you on the program this morning. You told it as it is. And for the other youths who are watching, I just posted the video in the Youth Voices group on Facebook. For the other youths who are watching, the time is now for you to get involved in politics. And getting involved in politics doesn't mean that you have to do like Natalia and become the co-chair of the youth arm. It doesn't mean that you have to be marching on the streets, but it does mean that on election day you make an informed decision, a decision that focuses on your well-being, a decision that focuses on you as a young person having future opportunities in the country that you were born into, a decision that focuses on you living in a better country, a country where you can feel safe, a country where there's opportunity, a country where you can be yourself, you can be who you are and not have to worry about having to know people to get ahead in life. That's not what life is about. And I applaud you, Natalia, and the rest of the youth for really coming on board and showing the nation and showing, most importantly, the youth of Trinidad and Tobago what real politics is supposed to look like. Come election day, I'm hoping that with the work of you and your team, we will have more young people making really informed decisions based on where they are right now and where they would like to be. Yeah?
Absolutely.
All right, Natalia. Anything else in closing before we wrap up this particular segment?
One thing to add, you know, it's true. Just because you're getting involved in politics doesn't mean you have to go stand up on a podium, doesn't mean you have to be the face of it all, because we have a lot of youth members who are in the background. They probably don't show their faces, and you probably hear their names, but you don't know who they are because they don't show their faces much, but they do as much hard work as we do here on the front lines. So come join us. You don't have to be a frontliner. We welcome all types. We welcome if you're shy. Come on, there are many other things to do in the Progressive Empowerment Party's Youth Arm.
Indeed. Michelle, anything for Natalia before we wrap up with her?
No, Natalia, just keep up the great work. I'm seeing it firsthand. A lot of youths sometimes they contact me first before they get to the youth arm, and I'm seeing them become very vocal. Vaughn, Christian, outstanding job, Christian, continues to do and bringing the message forward. He is really, really a true champion of the youths and fighting for the future of Trinidad and Tobago as yourself. And, I do commend you strongly for your efforts. And you do have an opportunity to leave, and you're here and you're sticking it out and you're trying to make a difference and bring your knowledge and bring your passion to the country. So again, youths that are listening, please join us. Please join us in our efforts to save the country.
Thank you for that, Michelle and Natalia. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I hope your entire youth arm is tuned in, listening to you do a fantastic job at representing them and their interests and the rest of the interests of the youths of Trinidad and Tobago. It's always a pleasure having you on, and I look forward to seeing that collaborative video between, or I would say among, Philip and our toilet guy, I can't remember his name, and my very pretty young lady who tied for that winning that mommy challenge that you guys would have piloted.
Yes, I wish to see that. As much as you do, it's going to be exciting, people. It's going to be very exciting to see that collaboration. Until next time.
Definitely posting that all over Facebook for the rest of the world to see. Natalia, Thank you for joining us, and we will be
You're
in touch.
welcome.
Please send WhatsApp me those photos. I would like to post them today as well.
Yes, will do. Bye.
Bye bye. Right, it's back to just Michelle and Felicia at 9:30 in the morning, now 9:31. We are going to resume our discussion, but we're also opening the phone lines for you to call in and talk your talk. Natalia, we just had Natalia Moore from the PEP Youth come and do a very wonderful job at not just representing the youths, but also giving us first-hand information on the issues that are plaguing youths in Trinidad and Tobago. And Michelle, we say it so many times in the Progressive Empowerment Party, hope and opportunity, hope and opportunity, hope and opportunity. And the reason why it cannot be overstated is because that is Trinidad in a nutshell. We lack hope and opportunity.
Yes.
And the fact that climbing up anywhere in Trinidad is either a real fight or you have to know somebody. It is testament to just how broken we are as a society and just how much needs repair and fixing if we really want to move towards the kind of first world nation that we look and envy across the world, like in the States and in the UK and Canada. If we really want to get that, we really have to start thinking first world, and first world countries are interested in investing in its people and investing in posterity and investing in young people like Natalia so that they don't leave their shores and take their knowledge elsewhere. That's what we do, and we
Right.
draining all of the good people in Trinidad and leaving us with the dregs, the ones who have the die-hard mentalities, who happy where they are. Upward mobility is
Right.
not something they're considering as long as they're bread and butter today. We
Yes,
can't
it's
continue
so
to
sad, Felicia. It's so sad. I mean, that is one of my main reasons for returning to Trinidad is to have some type of influence on the youths and the system and how we think. I mean, we think the way we think alone. You know, not every child, and I want to say this because this used to fascinate me as a child. I would come during school time. School would be still in session, and my grandmother would send me to the school. And I remember the emphasis being who came first, right? And I had never heard that terminology in the US because it was not that competitive. So because you didn't come first, you didn't come second, you didn't come third, basically forget you. And that's how we continue. We are already giving the downfall right there. We're already saying there is no hope if you don't pass for a prestige school, if you don't come first, you don't come second, you don't come third. That is not how we should be managing our youths. So from there you're telling them, okay, you failed. And then when they go into the system and they don't get all of the subjects that are required, we're saying again, okay, you failed. And where is the future for them? In the US, you can literally, like I indicated, started working at McDonald's. We have heard billionaire stories that started working as a janitor, making fries, and where they are today is only what a Trinidad national could ever imagine. So there is hope. There is hope for us, and that is what we are bringing out to Progressive Empowerment Party.
Definitely. And just that whole thing of hope. And Michelle, while I talk to you on the program, I get so many messages on WhatsApp from all of the people who are probably too shy to call, but I mean it's really good information and good feedback that I get from the people. Somebody just messaged, good job by Natalia and you guys. And I have to say, it's a really great job by Natalia in representing her team. But the messages that I get, Michelle, a lot of them, I would say about 70% of them are from people overseas who, and I see this show seems to subscribe to a lot of Trinbagonians who would have left the country and had to go abroad, and many of them, most of them, I would say 80%, 85% of them had to leave because of that lack of hope and opportunity. I told the story last week. I got very candid with you guys and explained that I had to see my dad leave at just 2 years old, and I mean, it was a difficult a situation to be to see your family split and separate like that. Your dad and thousands of miles, hundreds of miles away and living with your mom. And as a young person growing up and wanting to have that balance of a family life, of having father and mother, not having that, not being able to experience that. And we all know phone calls aren't the same. I was not living in the age back then of Zoom technology and WhatsApp video calls. So communication meant spending running up your phone bill to the hundreds of dollars if you had to call overseas. And of course, these things would have impacted my life growing up in terms of missing out on that relationship with my dad. And I mean, I'm happy to say, you know, growing older and thankfully, thank God for technology, thank God for being able to work and fly and buy my own tickets to go and see him. But it was not the same. And I think about other people who would have lost, I want to use the words lost, but who would have missed out on the opportunity to have their family members around. There are a lot of Trinbagonians right now, right here on my street that I can tell you about, who children grew up with aunties and uncles and grandparents because their moms and their dads left to make a better life for themselves. And I know decisions like that cannot be easy as a parent. It can't be, especially if you want to be there for your child, but knowing that being here, there's nothing that you can offer your child. So the best bet is to go in another man's country and work in a babysitting job or find some way to make a living that would be harder to make here and send money back home. We have a whole thing called barrel children in this country for a reason. It's the reason we have that is because in the 80s and the 90s we had many Trinbagonians leaving this country to go abroad, and their children grew up as barrel children where parents would send back barrels for them. And these same children, when you look at them now, if you were to do a deep dive into their psychology, a psychological deep dive into them, you'd find that many of them would have been impacted by the loss of a parent or two. Some of them, and I know, again, in my community, I know of children, young boys in particular, who lacking that family structure, lacking that discipline, found themselves on the streets, getting involved in gang and drug activities. And it is a reality of, if you have to drill all the way back to the core, to the root problem, it's just a lack of hope and opportunity that
exactly, Felicia,
finds itself in every system, in your family system, in your system, in your job system, in the social development system. All of it stems from a lack of home. Crime, all of it, Michelle, the crime that these young boys get involved in because their families are not here to discipline them. Hope
exactly,
and opportunity.
Felicia. Exactly, and that, you know, why we have a large following of Trinidadians that have lived abroad is because they have seen the other side. They have seen the other side and they realize how the other side works. But you know what is also hard, and you know, I've probably shared that one. It's actually hard coming back home because in some ways you are rejected because you want to implement first world standards, you want to talk first world standards, and you are rejected by the same system that, you know, imagine having 25 years cruise line experience from a senior management and not being eligible for a job in the Ministry of Tourism that has been non-active for the past 10 years I've been here. So this is, but at the same time, you're rejected. Who do you think you are? Where you come from, you know? And you're rejected trying to make it better. You're trying to put systems in place. So there is a downside to those that have returned home and are trying because you're rejected by your own. That you want to make it better. And you're saying, this is how it works. This is how it's supposed to work. But instead, people are focusing on your accent. They're not focusing on the message. They're focusing on the accent and trying to fight you down with, you know, you wanting to make this country better. There is an opportunity for all of us. There is an opportunity for better governance and to make the country better. That is what we are for. This is our homeland. This is where our heritage is, and this we wouldn't want to. Many Trinidadians that leave Trinidad, Felicia, it baffles me. They go to jobs they would never do in Trinidad. Have you ever noticed that when you go to New York? They're doing jobs that they would never, ever do in Trinidad. I know many as they say, barrel children that were raised by that, and they are absolute delinquents. And when their parents finally decided to come back, they came back to a worse situation than they left. They came back to children they have no control over. They came back to children that having Nike apparel, that is all that matters to them. Not college, not school, not education. I know I used to ask my friend, she had 3 young children, and I said, "Girl, go home." When she came back, she had no marriage, she had no 3 children, right? They were all completely either in jail or completely lost. So we need to realize there is an opportunity, but we all have to come together and work as one to achieve this. And we were going to raise our voice through the elections.
Definitely. And even that in terms of jobs that we go abroad and we do that we wouldn't do here, there's also the aspect where the jobs that we do abroad there, if you had to compare it, you're making more money than if you were doing it here.
Right.
Babysitter in the States right now, earning more enough money to feed herself, pay rent, probably pay a little bit towards tuition fees, as opposed to if you were to do that same job here in Trinidad and Tobago, the wages that we pay people, and we had a video that we were to show on that earlier this week. Actually, maybe we should show it now. I'm not sure if the producer is in. Let's run that clip that Philip would have done on Sunday. I'll wait to see if he can add that onto the screen. But in the meantime, it basically spoke about the wages in comparison to what you can make in the States and what you can buy versus what you make here as minimum wage, and what you can buy. A pack of fries is $14. A small pack of fries, $14. And minimum wage is what, $17.50. So after working for 1 hour. Is it 1 hour? It's $17.50 an hour. You
Right.
can buy
Yes.
a pack of fries
Of fries.
and probably have $3.50 left over for a bottle of water if you're that lucky. And I'm a fries expert. I know fries like the back of my hand, and I can tell you one pack of fries is not going to fill you. It's definitely not going to fill a grown man. So look at, and in comparison in the United States, you're making what, 13 in New York, I think 15 US an hour, which in comparison is almost 100 TT dollars. Compare that to $17.50. We make the same way, the equivalent to United States wages, because we were $15 an hour. We make it in the reverse. So the United States
Right.
paying $15, we paying $15. But when you look at the math, our $15 isn't, of course, no way reflective. Yet we're paying the price, the US price for food, etc., on the shelves, on the when we go in the groceries. But in terms of paying people and paying them wages, particularly minimum wage, we have done a terrible job at that. Our minimum wage is not a living wage. You can't, on a minimum wage salary, you can probably never in this country be able to own a home, particularly with the HDC lottery system that we have for distributing homes, where we politicize and use it as a tool to buy votes and pad votes. You can, as a minimum wage earner, I don't know how people feel a sense of. I would feel disrespected actually to be a minimum wage earner, because you're telling me that this is all I can make, and then on top of that, you're telling me that I can't afford to pay for my home. You're telling me that I have to pay US equivalent in terms of prices in the groceries and in the fast food restaurants for food, things that I need, basic necessities, basic items that I need to live. I would feel disrespected as a minimum wage earner. And it's no wonder that people would leave here and go abroad to do the same jobs that they're doing here and make more money. It's no
As
wonder
you
because
should,
where was the
Felicia.
pride?
Yeah,
Exactly. Where
as
was
you
the pride
should.
in being able to say, I am working as a janitor, or I am working as a man who security, or I'm working as a man who pack in a box in KFC. Where is the pride in being able to work these jobs, which you should be able to, because there should be no differentiation. We need people to work and pack the boxes. We need people to mop the floors. We need security officers. But at the same time, as much as we need them, we also need to treat them with respect. And treating them respect should be reflective of the wages that they earn. And the wages that they earn should actually be able to buy and pay for something. It still boggles me that we can have people making $2,850 a month and having rents like $1,500 and $2,000 a month. What are these people living on? The situation is in Trinidad where if you're working for a minimum wage, we just judge you and tell you you're making more than two children, you can't be making. That is how ridiculous we have gotten in this country. You have to tell people you have to cut off the limit. We're China. We're telling you how many people they can make just by telling you how much you can earn as a minimum wage earner.
And Felicia, what's another downfall in addition to what you said? The what I have noticed in the work system and having worked with hundreds of companies in Trinidad, the possibility of promotion and earning more money within these organizations are so stagnant and limited that the average person cannot start off from an entry level position and think they're moving forward. Whereas in the US, there, I remember I was one of them earning minimum wage, was still in school, 20 years old. But I took a part time job, minimum wage, and in less than 90 days, at the conclusion of the probationary period, I got a raise immediately. Then the following 3 months, due to my performance, I got another raise. So I left that job. I started that job at 5:25. I'll never forget it because I told my mother, "What can I do?" She said, "No, take it for the experience." And by the time I left the job, Felicia, I had moved up to 750, which in those days was, in contrast. But there was an opportunity. There is no opportunity. You see people in positions year after year after year here in Trinidad, and you say, well, why didn't you apply for a promotion? Why didn't you apply for another position? I was at Carnival, and in 15 years, I held 7 positions. Every 2 years, I was promoted. And that meant more money for me. That meant more buying power for me. But you rarely hear that story in Trinidad. You rarely hear somebody moving within the organization and getting a promotion. You rarely hear that. So on top of the living wage situation, we have a situation that we're not even promoting from within, which keeps you further stagnant.
Michelle, I mean, there was a report from the Service Commission 2 weeks ago. Oh gosh, I can't remember this lady, the minister in the Ministry of Finance. Her name is escaping me right now. I think it's Mrs. Wolf is her name. I can't remember. Her name is just not coming to mind at the moment. But I remember she was explaining the new income collection or the new revenue collection that department that was being set up independent of the Board of Inland Revenue, independent of which would have previously fallen under the under Service Commission, which is, as you know, responsible for hiring across the public service. And the reason why they were moving or they are moving the income collection department out of the public service, out of the private public sector, and more or less privatizing it and bringing it directly under the Ministry of Finance as I would have to call it a special purpose company. The reason why that is happening is because of the backlog within the public service, within the Service Commission, where they are operating at 50% capacity. Some people who are due and overdue for promotions, who have been acting. I remember the first time I did a small stint in the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Marine Affairs is what they were calling it. No, Ministry of Food Production, Land and Marine Affairs. That's what they were calling it under the Kamala administration. She had changed the name. And when I was working at the horticultural division, and I remember I would see letters coming in, and I would see AG, AG, AG at the end of people's name. I didn't understand what was this AG. And I found out that AG meant acting, and there were so many people acting in positions. Some of them had been acting for 3, 4, 5, 10 years and still awaiting a promotion. And I'm like, what is it going to take to just give the people the promotion that they need? What is it going to take to just tell people the job which you're obviously competent in doing because we have you doing it? What is the problem with making you a permanent person in that position? I hardly hear anybody in the public sector getting an actual promotion. They're told that you are acting. And even in the private sector, there's a little bit more mobility, upward mobility there, but you see it. I myself have experienced it. When you think you're working in a job 3, 4, 5, 7 years, and you're looking forward to or looking, obviously, and especially when you're young, you're wondering what next. And you see no chance of upward mobility. You see how stagnant you're becoming. And it's no wonder people become demotivated and disillusioned with the jobs that they have. You're finding no way to stimulate their minds. You're giving them no incentive to want to stay on the job. And obviously that is going to affect productivity. It obviously is going to make people just not care about the jobs that they're doing.
Exactly, and we talk about systems, and this is how, for the citizens listening, this is how the systems that are not in place impact you. So when you're at a job and you can't get a promotion, or you're acting for such a long time and it's not being recognized, that is due to lack of systems in place. There should be a minimum or a maximum cutoff. You can act in the US. There is at a private organization that you can act as this much, but after a while a decision needs to be made, or you need to be compensated. There's lack of motivation in the workplace. There is lack of flexibility in the workplace. These are all systems that contribute to the lack of production in Trinidad. Hence the reason we are so stagnant, because we have people in positions 20, 30 years, and they seem to be okay with that. And you should never be okay with that. You should have been in a senior position by now. You should have been expanding your learning knowledge of the organization. You should have been having several promotions, not just sitting at a desk stamping, and saying, I'm happy I work for the government. You deserve more. And that, again, is because we have lack of systems. We have persons in management, Felicia, I always talk about that should not be in management in Trinidad and Tobago. Just because you are in an institution does not give you the authority that you have the right to manage it. Being a manager is a total different job, and we are placing people in positions that they are not capable of. They're not capable of moving the company forward. They're not capable of moving the employees forward because they lack the skill set. And it's a whole domino of systems that have failed in Trinidad. You hearing me? You hearing me?
Hello? Hi, Michelle. I just want to take a call. My screen froze, so I'm not sure if you're hearing me. I have a call from abroad right now. Hello, good morning. You're live on Pep Talks in the morning.
Hi, morning, ladies.
Morning.
First of all, I must say, y'all make so many good points, and you need to commend all proceeding to be true. To Mr. Hayden Joseph, nobody, because I see him trolling your feed. Nobody is saying that if you have coronavirus, you could go and lie down in the sun and it will cure you and kill coronavirus. People are making the point that if coronavirus is sitting down on a metal surface inside the mold, it could survive for up to 72 hours, as opposed to sitting down in direct sunlight on a surface where it will survive for less than 2 minutes. So don't be making it sound like if the PEP is saying that sunlight is going to kill coronavirus and everybody's so stupid because you're making people feel like if I have coronavirus, I could go and lie down in the sun and that will kill coronavirus. That is point one. Point two. The topic that you are talking about, because as you said, I'm a foreign caller, is very, very near and dear to my heart. When I left school, I had great CFC, I had real good A-levels. I applied CSS, WASA, all these places. Sorry, we have no availability at this time. People who I went to school with who didn't have half the CXC or A-levels I had because their mother was working WASA and their uncle was working Kenta session. And up to this day, they are still there sitting down there. Right? Now, I had to do, I said, you know what? I could go and take little small jobs, work here, take a teaching job here, this and that. When I did SAT, people look at my A-level PhD and gave me a scholarship. Right? When you look at my thing, I didn't have no Indian godfather to get me into medical school. I didn't have no connections. I came from a poor family. I'm a doctor today. But what I could say is after coming out here, going to university, starting undergrad at the Ivy League school, I did call the government and it had a point in time where they were giving scholarships. And I was the beneficiary of one of those scholarships and did medicine at St. George's University because UE was to pack up. Right? And they couldn't fit us in it. It's how a lot of us came back to give service. It's how a lot of us out here trying to come back to give service. I saw the Ministry of Education put up a thing like how many millions they spend in scholarships and like all these people just disappear. You know how many people in the UK and the US trying to come home with qualification? They're telling you you're overqualified. If it is over here and something and they can't give you a job, you're out of that contract, you know, because you've been trying to come back home. Right? And when we come back home, these systems are terrible. These systems are terrible. If you go in companies like BG and Shell, look at how many of your presidential scholars, right, that same Trinidad and Tobago pay to go to university. They are making money for the private companies for Shell.
Yep.
And BG, you understand? BG is taking them and sending them in their postgrad program and sending them Australia and UK and they're working. And Trinidad, Petrotrin couldn't work because they had people sit down in Petrotrin for 30 years as well. They say, with your finger in your bottom. Some of them have been there, and especially as a doctor. I came back, I started to give my service. I say, if I'm no room for me to specialize here, how the programs are, I have to come back out here to subspecial. But I see people in the hospital and some of them, because they're in the public service, you just they're doing the same thing for the past 10 years, you know. And they're just getting promoted, some of them because of tenure, and they are fast to just sitting down there doing nothing for how many years and not improving themselves. And they're taking up space in the public sector. Whereas people who are qualified who want to come home, can't come home because they have no space for them. So I agree with Michelle. These systems are terrible. These systems are terrible. If it is you, look at the forensic pathologist. She's a national scholar. They pay for to go to medical school. She came back home and tried to think and was working as a forensic pathologist and quit the other day because it is so terrible.
It is. And Kola, I don't mean to rush you off of the line because you're making some really, really valid points and just basically solidifying everything Michelle and I have been speaking about, even from when Natalia was on the program. But it is 10 o'clock. We are absolutely out of time for the program today. So I
should have
will
called
have.
you earlier.
Yes. You always wait until the last minute, but don't worry. As much as it was a late call, I really value the contribution that you just made. Like I said, you're on the button. You are experiencing it yourself. You have been a victim of the broken systems that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago, and the most we can do is to get more people who are listening to this program, to encourage more people to stand up and really demand a change, because it cannot continue like this.
All right, but it's up to you, lady.
Thank you, and I'm going to message you offline because what state are you calling me from?
I'm in Philadelphia right now. Right now, I am, trying to duck past police cars and helicopters at the air and saying I can't be home, because borders closed.
And Philadelphia is one of the cities under curfew right now, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was the primary, so the curfew moved us to 8:30, but we have been from a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, given the rioting that is going on in these major cities.
All right, Miss Philadelphia, I'm going to message you off air to send you the number of Denise Xavier. She's the head of the United States chapter. If you're not involved in PEP overseas, please get involved. This movement, this show, none of it can come to you without the support of all of our peppers, be they local or overseas. We need your help. Thank you for your call, but I want to see you more involved.
Okay.
All right, Miss Philadelphia, thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
And I want my mommy baby tea. Tell me where I could order it.
I am telling Sasha Ali, who is one of the co-chairs of our merchandise team. I put her to work on that last week. I know you sent me that message. I sent her to work on it. So soon we will be releasing that, right?
Okay.
All right, darling. Bye-bye.
All right.
A really great call. I'm sorry that it came so late, but I mean, Michelle, I'm sure you could agree that she really cemented everything that we were discussing this morning. Not hearing you, Michelle. I don't know if you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I totally agree with the caller, and thank you for the confirmation of the blockage that continues to face those citizens that want to come back, and you're just blocked by the system, whether it be intentional or not intentional. Something is not working. But once again, thank you, Felicia, for having me. Every time we do this show, I feel that I have contributed and I've done my duty to enlighten it and bring the hot topics to the public and make you think. And again, Trinidad and Tobago, continue to think and continue to join us with the Progressive Empowerment Party.
Indeed. Thank you, as always, for being here, Michelle. Asked the question at the start of the show. The poll question of the day came out of the Rio Treaty, whether we should stay in it or not. The question asked, do you think Trinidad and Tobago should withdraw from the Rio Treaty, given our clear I would say conflict of interest between the United States and Venezuela as two countries who are at metaphorical war with each other, and two countries which we sit in between. And the results of that poll, do you think that we should withdraw from the treaty? 21% of you said yes, and 79% of you said no. I said that I would have given my answer as well as your answer, Michelle. I also don't think that we should withdraw from the treaty. It should not be a treaty of convenience now that we have a particular administration that has an inclination towards a sanctioned member of the treaty, that we change our country's entire 73-year history of being a part of this just to accommodate one particular administration's, I would say, interests, because it seems to be only a very small handful who are hell-bent on having these relationships with Venezuela. What are your thoughts on this, Michelle? Should we stay? Should we leave?
Felicia, I concur with you 100%. I don't believe Trinidad and Tobago has a history of dodgy relations with the international world. So hence that reason I say I believe we should stay in the treaty agreement.
All right, Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for joining us. We went a little bit over the time, but for good reason. I believe that this was a very great program today. I usually try to end with a thought of the day. Yesterday's thought was a bit motivational. Today's thought of the day is a little bit more reflective. And given the current climate of things happening right now in terms of politics, in terms of political undermining, and I'm seeing we didn't touch on this today, but I plan to touch on it tomorrow. Fuad Abubakar, his recent turn on the PNM after he was rejected as a candidate, and just the continuing history and the continuing just bacchanal politics as we have known it. The thought of today is trust is earned, respect is given, and loyalty is demonstrated. Betrayal of any one of those is to lose all three. It's actually a quote on my wall today. You can go check that out. Find me on Facebook, Felicia Holder. My page is open to the public, and you can see that quote of the day. Trinidad and Tobago, thank you as always for being with us. We will be back tomorrow with a brand new panel. Michelle, I think I will see you when next week, Monday again. You're probably a Monday, Wednesday regular by now.
Right.
Thank you for
See you
being
next
here.
week, Monday.
Yes, Trinidad, let's remember during this period of social distancing, let's stay together by staying apart. Bye-bye.